Good afternoon, folks. Today's project has to do with the old Mopar. I call it the Slowpar Mopar. I have this new fuel line kit with AN fittings and stuff. I'm replacing this old one, which does. You can buy an adapter to put on this to run AN, but this is pretty old and beat up, so I decided to replace it. So I have this. As is always the case, if you have two choices, the first guess is going to be wrong. This is with a 4150 style carburetor. Mine's a 4160. And so you can see the length is wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this adapter here and I'm going to shorten this line a little bit and use this adapter. So the way this works, there's a couple ways of doing this. I don't have a 37-degree tool for flaring. I have a regular flaring tool, it's 45. This uses a regular old ferrule like you would use in any compression fitting, and it'll fit over this line 3/8, and it goes together just so, and it'll go on like this, and this end is 6AN because this is 6AN, and in here I have my line. It's a prefab, it's 2 feet long. Same idea, it screws onto here and then it'll go to the pressure regulator. And I have various fittings to adapt to the pressure regulator. I have one that's a 90-degree angle. I have a couple of straights because I don't, as far as clearances and so on, just guessing, so I figured it's worth it to have both. And I guess my last two are just duplicates of what's on here. So now I'm going to get started on this. The length of these two fittings is different, so that's of course going to change things a little bit. But I know that I have to take off at least ½ an inch. The way this fitting is made, get that ferrule out of the way. This here is hollowed so that you can make the this line probably 5/16 over long if you want to, and it'll still work, because the ferrule will just fit over it and then it'll tighten down. But the you want it to be as close as you can get it. So right now I'm going to take off the minimum amount and then I'm going to test fit it. First thing to do, back those up, get them out of the way. Old man uncoordinated hands. So I suspect I'll have to take off more than this, but this is a place to start. So this is stainless steel, which is mean to mess with, which is why, because I thought about buying the 37-degree tool for the single flare, but then I'm thinking, yeah, stainless. I don't like stainless. It's mean, it's hard to cut. This may end up, I may end up using something other than this tool to cut it with because of it. But we'll see. And that's why for most things I like to use NICOP actually, but this is up on top of the engine, so it might seem a little nicer with stainless steel up there. Okay, now we're into the part where I'm doing things the wrong way, is using vice grips to tighten this more. It's not good for the cutter, but I'm going to get a little WD-40 because some possibility that this cheapy cutter won't do it, but we'll see. Worst comes to worst, I can use a cutoff wheel and just go to great pains to make sure there's nothing inside to contaminate the carburetor when I'm done. There it is. Okay, I finally cut it off. It took a while, but it did it. I'm glad I didn't ruin my cutting tool. So these parts here I will save because they can be used in the future if I get a 37-degree flaring tool. So I'm going to save those. But what I'm going to do for now is I have this. It goes over like this. Here's the ferrule. Fits over like that. A little bit of a burr there so it doesn't want to slide. And that's how that goes. And so now the next step is to put the rest of this on. Now this is with the rod pressed in as far as it'll go. Sometimes the threads don't want to start, but there it is, it fits. Okay, so now I'm going to compare this and see where it is in relation to this. It's still longer, but now I know how much, because I have this fitting in here, I don't have to compensate for anything. I can just measure and then (9 5/8) still. I think I might have got 11/16 last time. Who knows? This one is 10 3/8. So about 3/4 inch too long. So the next thing to do is, as you can see, this sticks out beyond it a little bit. So I can do a healthy 3/4 inch, and then I can have a little bit of wiggle room. So I'm going to get the calipers, because getting the tape measure in there accurately. Okay, here are my calipers. That's 700. I'm going to go 780. So that's a healthy 3/4 inch. It's actually about a 32nd long, more than 3/4. But then I can do this. It's a little bit clumsy to do. There it is. There it is. It finally cut it off. The ferrule does slip over that, so that's a good thing. Hopefully that doesn't create a nice leak, because it'll be right exactly where. It's annoying, but that's the way things go. So this goes like this. As you can see, you run the ferrule up like that. That's how that's going to be. And then you tighten this on. And when you tighten this on, it crushes it nicely. So things are not particularly tight here. But now, what do we have for a length? Okay. Looks like it's a teeny bit shorter with it shoved all the way in. But still 9 5/8. How about that? 9 1/2. So this will pull out a little bit. Because as I had showed you earlier, the ferrule will have a little bit of, it'll give you a little bit of leeway, like that. So the next thing I have to do is get these off here, so I'll just take this out. Take these off. Now the first step is to put these into the carburetor, then I'm going to put the other pieces in. And here's the gas line fitted on here. I don't like these gaskets, to be honest with you. I tightened them up. That one split there as I was tightening it. I have no idea. These aren't really tightened. I'm waiting a while. I wouldn't be surprised if these leak. Honestly, I'll probably end up taking this off and putting new gaskets there. But it's on there, and where it has to go is where this nipple is. So I have to remove that, put in the adapter, and figure out whether I want the straight one or the angled one. To go, the angled one would go like this, and the straight one would go like that. So I'll just be trying both. So there we go. Okay, I found my wrenches so I can start loosening this. At some point I'm going to get a new regulator, but we're getting by with this one for now. Okay, that came out okay. Now let me see what I can find for other fittings, and I'll bring my hose out and start messing with that. Alright, here's my prefabbed hose. I'm going this way for right now and see how I like that. I think I'm going to probably go with that first. Because Mopars, you have a bolt down in here where you could run a bracket up. This could go under this, or I could just change that out to something else. But I think this is the way to go rather than to go in and around. So I'm going to put this angled one on. I'm going to clean this out later. Right now we're test fitting. There we go. Put this on like this. This being in the way is making it a little bit harder to start the threads. Okay, angle that up a little bit. Oh, God. You son of a bitch. Do I have defective parts? I don't know. Okay, that's on. So these wrenches actually do reduce the scratching, but they don't eliminate it. So that's the way I would go with this. I like this. I'll tighten things up a little bit, but I'm not going overboard with it because I don't have everything ready. But I think this can work very well because I can run a bracket up to here to hold that in place from moving too much. And there's plenty of room. It's a little bit of a pain with the oil filler. And this, of course, would be back by the booster if I move to the other side. So I'm probably just going to leave things as they are. And this might get changed, I don't know. But that's going to work. So now I think other than possibly these gaskets that they gave me, which can be replaced, I may be all right here. So now it's a matter of putting in the gas tank and the stuff at the other end. Okay, so we got that part of the gas line installed. The next step is the other end. I have here the Summit pump that I'm going with. It's the black one. I believe it makes 16 psi. And what I'm going to do when I install this is put a bypass on it. Because, yeah, black pump, 120 gallons at 7. Preset pressure is 16.5. All right, so I'm going to run a bypass so that the line pressure never exceeds like 10. And what that'll do is that it'll always have enough for the carburetor, which only needs 6 psi up at the carburetor. So 10 psi will get to the regulator. The regulator will bring it down to 6 for the carburetor. But there will be a circulation. And this circulation will cool the pump. Now these electric pumps, when they're installed deadhead, they'll work for a while. And that's fine if it's a drag race only car because it's not running for long distances. But for a car that might be driven on the street, it's nice to have a bypass. And so I'm going to do that. And then, because then it uses the fuel as a coolant. And I'll show how to do that when I get to installing the gas tank and this in the back. So I have a bunch of other parts on order. Unfortunately, we live in the days of everything is out of stock and back ordered. So I have a hose kit. I'm using PTFE hose back there. I'm going to use the existing steel line because that line's not that old. And it's 3/8, so it's big enough to feed, you know, what I'm going to be running. But I got a hose kit with 20 foot of PTFE, which is more than enough, and a bunch of fittings. That's supposed to come in next Thursday or something. I got a gas tank that I ordered and some more fittings that I ordered. And that'll get me, oh yes, and a fuel filter, a 40 micron fuel filter, because this says in the instructions to have a filter before the pump. So I got a Summit filter that matches the pump. And I believe the tank that I ordered, it's a 12-gallon fuel cell, and it's has dash 8 fittings, so I'll probably have to order a couple adapter fittings in the end. But I'm sorry to break up the videos like this, but you can never seem to get all the parts together at the same time when you want to. But, the Mopar, I wanted to do a Mopar video. I hadn't done one in quite a while. And the fact is, this Oldsmobile is parked in. The Mopar is parked right in front of the door, so, you know, I could have somebody tow it out of the way, or I could get the Mopar so it'll move. So I'm getting the Mopar so it'll move. So that takes care of this video, and see you next time.